and welcome to About the House. Later on, we'll be in Avoca for our first visit to a derelict country cottage, which will be transformed over the coming months. Angie will be in Stillorgan, seeing how a creative extension can completely redefine a house. But first, the restoration of a Victorian terraced house here in the heart of Dublin.
We were looking for a house, I suppose, in this neck of the woods as the kind of place we really want to live in. And it was just through passing by one day, saw the sign for sale and followed it up.
Saw the condition of the place. It was in a fair state. So as two architects, we got very excited about that as a potential. I think we're both very excited on a lot of levels.
I love the house. I think it's a really special, unique little house. It's such a deceptive front from the world that's hidden behind the front door, and that means a lot to me.
It's a great area.
Yeah, and it's got a great life about it. Like, the idea of urban living is very important, that you feel you're a citizen and you're part of a city and part of all the changes that happen in that city.
Oh, hi, Dermot.
How
Good
are you
to see you.
doing? How's things?
Great. Orla, it's great to
Hi,
see you
nice to
again.
see you, Declan.
So this is it here?
This is the house. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. And it's a very attractive terrace, I must say, isn't it?
It is. It's lovely, Duncan. As you can see, our house is very narrow.
But nevertheless, quite long.
It's extremely narrow, isn't
is,
it?
yeah, yeah.
But it is deep, goes deep
It is,
in.
yeah. It extends quite far back.
Right, I'm dying to see it, by the way.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a long house going to be, is it?
Yeah, long house.
In Long Lane?
Yeah. What is?
Lovely. So it's a kind of a narrow corridor
Narrow
here
corridor
now,
here,
is it?
and then into
Yes.
the first room. This is the front room.
Right.
Our plans for this is to leave it as a kind of a flexible either bedroom or a home office space or guest room.
Right, OK. And was this the condition when you came here, Dermot?
The condition when we bought the house is close to as you see now.
Right.
And the previous owners had done some work, thankfully. Proton had been in to damp-proof, impregnate the old brickwork here.
All the way around the house? So,
all the way around the house,
So we
yeah.
have a dry house now?
Yeah, yeah.
And what about this blockwork? Was this there?
Yeah, yeah. There had been some block work done by the previous owners. Obviously, we've some work to do with that in terms of plastering.
Right. So all this blockwork along the hallway was done, etc.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so you really inherited that situation.
Yes.
Yeah. I see it's got to be insulated. You
It
know,
does, yeah.
Roof insulation,
Yeah,
wall
yeah.
insulation, everything. And probably a lot of work to the brickwork there too.
Yeah.
Right. Lots of work to be done.
There's work to be done.
There is
So,
right there.
indeed.
so the real action's down here, Orla,
It
isn't
is indeed. So come down, we'll
Great.
have a look at the rest
Lovely.
of the house.
We're following down the corridor of the old house now, are we?
Yep, this is the next room off the hallway.
Like a middle room.
Like
Yeah.
a middle room. Now, originally in the old terrace, this room wouldn't have had any light, but when we bought it, there was already this Velux window installed.
Yeah, so that pours quite a lot of daylight in here.
Yeah. As you can see, there's no window,
No.
and that really informed our decision to make it into the bathroom.
Yeah, we decided that it's best just to make use of the roof light as a bathroom room.
Right, OK.
Yeah, because you've no window directly to the outside.
Yeah.
But the other nice feature of that is at night time you can see the stars from lying
There
in
you
the
are.
bath.
A romantic sort
Tell you.
of bathroom.
Yeah.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
I'm trying to see what it's like further down now.
Well, come on down.
Right, we're still in the old part of the house now, aren't we?
We're still in the old part of the house. This is the last room of the existing house. So the wall behind you there was the back of the old Victorian terrace house.
Right, so a lot of work to be done here, isn't there?
There sure is, yeah. This room's going to be the living room, and then it'll go on to make an open plan kitchen and dining room.
The extension starts
Yeah.
from the end of this room.
OK.
And everything beyond that then is new build.
So what's the concept now? Because
Well-
you've got a very long, narrow house.
Well, the crux of the whole concept happens at this room. This is the end room of the original terraced house, and a new extension begins at that point. And where the new extension and the old house meet, it's wrapped around a fully glazed courtyard.
There's also progression from public, which is the street, to private at the very back of the house, and that's punctuated by the three gardens. The small one to the front, the central one, which allows light into the centre of the plan, and then the garden to the rear as well. And
It's
as
like
you go through the house, it becomes more private.
Right, like Pompeii or the old
Yeah.
Roman concept, isn't
Exactly.
it? And
That's
that
right.
could work quite well because they were very deep plans too,
They were,
wasn't it? Yeah.
And the further you go back into the house,
Yeah.
the more private the rooms
Yes.
become.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
more familiar you are with the owner of the house, then
Yeah.
the deeper you're invited into the
Right.
house.
So this brick wall is going to be replaced with a glass screen, is it?
That's right, we're taking that brick down, and that glass and timber wall will then continue round to form the courtyard. So it's going to start just about there,
Right.
and then as we walk through it, you can see it'll continue here and around on this edge as well, and that'll form this open courtyard, which will bring
Right.
light into the plan.
Right.
And then you'll come through.
And this is the kitchen here now, is it?
That's right.
Very good. And then you're going to have glass screen here surrounding this again, and you're going to be able to look straight into the living room here. Is that it? Yeah?
It's all the time hoping to catch south light, because the orientation of the front of the house is to the south.
Right, so again, you have to kind of work with that to get maximise sunlight too. It's
Yeah.
not just the deep plan and getting daylight in. Great. So in beyond here now is what?
The next room is actually the last room of the whole house, and it's again like the first room that we saw earlier on. It's a flexible room which will be a bedroom, or could be a home office, or could be a guest room, and it's onto the garden. It's extremely private, and as you can hear, it's completely quiet.
But it's also very secluded, isn't it?
It is. It is. I mean, it's again the movement from the street, from very busy outside in the centre of town to this quiet little urban oasis at the back.
With the nice view to the brickwork of the Ivy buildings behind.
Oh yeah, that's Ivy Flats here, isn't
Yes,
it? Yeah,
yeah.
so that's lovely. It's great to have that. You've a contractor on board, have you?
We do, yeah. Yeah, Sean Murray, building contractor, and he's been on site now for between 5 and 6 weeks. And as you can see, he's made great progress to date.
Sean, you're well underway now with the construction here.
We are, Duncan. We can see there we have the foundations and all that poured and the walls up now. We had some problems with the drainage work, but
I think they're
we're
more or
just-
less
we have them
in
sorted
hand
out
now.
now, yeah.
Okay, so there are a few unknowns at the start of this, were there?
Oh, there are. I mean, I'd say the whole process actually is longer than we had anticipated and probably more stressful than we had anticipated. But it's going along now,
Yeah.
and I think we're looking forward to carrying on well with it.
From the point of view of cost now, how is it all working out for you?
Well, I suppose I mean everybody knows about the current climate. Property has just gone wild.
And as has building work and labour and materials.
Yeah.
So I think it's all...
So-
It's a lot more than we anticipated when we started the process when we bought the house last
yeah,
September.
so you're quite stretched, I'd say now, are you?
Yeah.
Very much so.
But you get into a process and you have to keep rolling with it, you
That's
know.
right.
do, yeah.
So how are you dealing with the builder here? I mean, 2 architects now must be able to control.
Two
How's that
architects
working
and a
out?
couple.
And a
What?
couple.
And a couple. How are you finding them, Sean, that way?
not too bad, Duncan, not too bad.
And do
Time
they,
will tell.
do they agree? I mean, is it a kind of a united
They do. They're very
conspiracy here?
They're very good
Speak your
to work
mind now,
with.
Sean, if you want to.
Right,
They're very
okay.
good to work with.
Good. So the next stage is what?
The next stage is the roof, Duncan,
Yeah.
out here, and we've some repairs and works to carry out onto the main roof.
Right, okay, so carpenters are
covered
coming
in,
on site
yeah.
now and get the whole roof on. So that's the next stage. And that is, of course, if we're all together and everybody is happy to work together. And so looking forward to the next visit.
Great.
Okay.
I'm a ceramic tiler, so I put tiles on walls and floors, basically. Initially, I wanted to be self-employed. Maybe it was more a reaction to spending 3 years temping in the financial institutions where you had to sit down all the time and you were sort of relating to a computer. I'm not really the sit down and be quiet type, so I decided the next thing I was going to do was going to involve a lot more moving around, and I chose a trade. You couldn't get a man tiler at the time, so I thought the market would be able to stand me in it. These walls actually had to be repaired first. They took tiles off them, you know, and obviously when you do that you wreck your walls, so they got somebody in anyway to make them flat. Always makes for a better tiling job. I was in a FOSS training centre in Ballyfermot, and there were 12 of us, and so there were 12 bays where we got to work every day for this 23 weeks. I found it very good. I found the standard there. There were 2 teachers that were very good. They were very precise. You learn to do it the right way from the start. And that way, you're in the culture of this is the correct way. And this is the only way to do it is the right way. And that saves you later on down the road time and money. When I'd come on a job, well, I would have seen it once, right? I would have come out and I would have given the customer the price. And then the morning I'd be starting, when I'd have everything, in the room and all set to go, I wouldn't put a tile on the wall for an hour. I'd be looking at it and I might draw a few lines and check, it's planning really. I'd never leave anything there that I wouldn't be happy with myself, because afterwards, I think of it in terms of, well, somebody's going to be sitting on this toilet or lounging in this bath and they've all this time, to be looking around and you can see things. I can see things. I spend my time going around. I'd be looking at floors or looking at walls, or when I go out, I'm always looking at the tiles. Yeah. Bad job would be lips, where they wouldn't be all sitting nice flat on the wall. You'd have one sticking up. You'd notice that a lot now on floors. So you have to be careful there with floors. Grouting is important, very important, because you could have a great tile job and the grouting is bad, then the whole job looks bad. I'm a great grouter. In fact, I love grouting. Another thing too in kitchens that's important is sealing around the worktops. I'd always put silicone in all the way around there first, especially obviously over at the sink. And then after I have the job done, I'd put silicone on it again. So no water then will get down the back of it. I look forward to going to work every day. I rarely feel, oh, I dread going there. And people are very nice to me, you know. 9 times out of 10, you know, I get my lunch served up to me. This morning there now I got at about 11 o'clock, I got coffee and croissants. That's probably an awkward thing, actually, for a woman, is when you're tiling, when you're putting on the adhesive, right, you have no... the trowels are made for men. If it's a smaller trowel, I think, or a smaller handle maybe on the trowel, it would make it easier. I know I earn more than teachers and some doctors. And I have greatest of job satisfaction. I'm living in a culture whereby I'm being booked. It's ironic, isn't it? This would be time now if the customer come in and saw it, the mess, it'd be like, oh, Jesus. A lot of people think, God, yeah, I wish I had done something like that, or I wish I had the courage to do something like that, or maybe it's, oh, God, a woman could do that. I get a lot of men even thinking, God, if she could do that, I could do that. You can do anything, I guess, can't you, if you believe you can. Now, I'd say that was a pretty fine job.
I have lived in the inner city for about 15 years. At the moment, I'm sharing Sheila's place, which is small.
And of course, we don't own it, we're renting, so I think we'd both like to own our own home now.
And the problem was that when it came to actually looking for houses, the prices have just gone through the roof in Dublin, and it's far too expensive for what you get. We spent 8 months looking around the Wicklow.
And in November, pouring rain, we came across a scruffy little cottage.
We were both ecstatic when we saw it the first time. We knew that it was going to be the one that we'd go after.
Hello, Sheila.
Hi.
How are you? What a romantic place you've got.
How are you? Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yes, and the ground falls away here to the south, yeah?
Yeah, and it's surrounded by trees. It's
Yeah,
great.
it's great. And the house is quite simple, isn't it?
Yeah, let me show you.
See a bit of rising damp here too, Sheila.
Yes, well, I think most of the cottages were going to have that problem. So this is our living room. Well, this is the original living room.
Yeah, it's quite dark, isn't it? I wonder, do the shutters come off?
Yeah, we had them off the weekend.
Oh,
do you
I'll
want
just
to take it off?
look.
Okay, sure. Just be careful, because they're quite heavy. They're actually
Right.
doors we had to put up.
Oh, it's loose here. Good.
Great.
And I see the old traditional sash window.
Yeah, well, we're going to keep all of the windows exactly the same, and we're going to try and maintain the integrity of the cottage. And we're going to take out this modern sort of fireplace, because apparently behind this is a big old stone fireplace, the really big ones you used to hang pots in.
Yes. You
So
can
we're-
bring back the old character of that.
Yeah. And we're going to keep all the proportions exactly the same.
Right,
We're
and
gonna-
the same with the window here. You're going to keep
Yeah.
this the old
Yeah,
up and down
both
sash
windows
window.
exactly the same.
Yeah.
And the stairs we're going to keep the same as well. We might take the railings off a little bit.
Right, because that's all part of the character, and it fits very nicely into a house like
Well,
that.
the proportions
and the
were
proportions
great.
of the windows too.
Yeah.
You're keeping all of that. Yeah.
And this wall through here, there's going to be an extension breakthrough for a long living room.
Right.
Let me
yes.
show
But
you
this
the
is-
kitchen. We're going to make
Right,
some
let's have a
changes
look
there
at
as
here.
well.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and this is, as you can see, it's quite a big room, so we're not going to make any changes except for French windows here out onto the patio.
To the south?
Yeah, and we're just going to keep everything else exactly the
Right.
same.
I see you've hacked off all the plasterwork here already.
Yeah, well, we rang up Program and they suggested that if we wanted to get all the moisture out of the walls, to expunge the moisture properly before builders got in and started,
Right.
attempting to plaster or whatever, that we needed a month.
So they're going to inject these now and
yeah.
damp-proof them.
So we came in at the weekend and hacked off 4 foot.
Right, so that you can get the drying done as quickly as
Yeah,
possible.
absolutely.
I noticed too you've got some wet rot here too.
Yes, yeah, we do. And it's pretty bad, actually.
Yes, wet rot and woodworm.
Those floors are going to have to come
All
up,
rotten here.
apparently. So up here we have the 2 bedrooms. These are in fact the only 2 rooms upstairs in the house because most of these cottages didn't have any toilets or bathrooms. They had outside toilets and people bathed in front of the fire. So we don't have a bathroom, so we need to create one in this space here.
Yes, and you want it upstairs where the bedrooms are.
Yeah, and this is the 2nd room. So
Right, so this is the smaller bedroom.
this is the fire breast here, and we're going to break through here.
Oh, through this partition here, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
from
door.
the main bedroom.
Okay.
And put up some stud partition here.
Yeah, a good soundproof partition here would be a good idea.
Yeah, I never thought about soundproof
Yeah, it's
actually.
important, yeah.
And put bathroom, basin, toilet, etc. in
Right,
here.
right. By the way, I see some wet rot here. Some fungus here from a wet rot. Obviously, the leaks in the roof have been coming through there for quite some time. That needs to be treated with Protum too.
Yes, yeah, I know. They're coming when we've stripped off all the tiles.
Pack off
They're
all
going
this old
to
plasterwork.
treat all the joists.
Very good.
in
Treat all the
roof.
timbers,
Yeah,
because it needs to be done. So this is your main bedroom
it
here,
is. Yeah.
So this is a much bigger room, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
much
a much-
finer. And the shape of the room and the space here is much. And I think the dormer shape is lovely. Very
Well,
attractive.
for that reason, we're going to sort of use the bed going down this way.
Okay, good
We
idea.
have our little entrance to the bathroom here,
Right.
and the bed goes down this way, and then we get this lovely light and this wonderful view down the garden. When you're just sitting up in bed reading your book or something in the morning, and you get to see this view on a Sunday
garden's
morning.
lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really pretty.
It's a fine-looking larch tree there, Sheila.
Yeah, we love the trees there.
Oh, the poor nettles. Oh, Leo, good to see you. What are you doing to the poor nettles?
I want to clear something.
Yes. Quite a steep fall here.
Yeah, it's very heavily banked.
And quite a south-facing slope here, so it's quite a good microclimate
Yeah,
here.
yeah. That's one of the reasons we're going to sort of put the patio along here.
Oh,
Remember
right.
the kitchen French doors
Yes.
that were coming out
Yeah,
here?
yeah.
Well, they're going to step down onto just a flagstone patio.
Here,
to,
right,
yeah,
okay.
all the way along here to
Yes.
about here. Just very simple.
Right,
So
sounds
we
lovely.
can eat outside or something.
So the
like that.
extension is going where?
The extension runs out about 8 foot from the side of the house there.
Okay, coming out along this wall,
Yeah, and
out
runs
to somewhere around here,
About that point, and runs across.
So you're running across here?
About
yeah?
14 feet.
Right.
So it'll be quite high off ground level, although we're dropping it 3 feet. We'll step down from that then onto a platform which will be coming out
Right,
from here.
right. And have you
into the
got
main
French
garden.
doors out here?
They're double French doors.
Okay, so you've got a big patio here then in
Yeah.
this area, is that it?
There is, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
what about
just-
the garden then? How is it going to go in terms of...
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to follow the lie of the land down here and make a gravel pathway.
This is following the little stream.
Yeah, and bring all the path and the pebbles and gravel all the way down to this kind of centre point here.
The meeting of the waters, in fact.
Yeah.
A bit like Avoca.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is make a very, very small meditation platform with a garden Buddha for
Lovely.
anyone who wants
Sounds
to come.
lovely, I
Yeah.
know. And along here then, what's happening?
And well, we're just going to carry this sort of gravel path all the way along here because
Right.
if you look through here, you can see the bigger stream.
Yes.
And we've got all this lovely cover with the trees.
Okay. So have you planned out all your landscaping at this stage, or is it...
We have a core idea for a good deal of it, but we need to get into detailed planning on it still.
Okay. So next time we're down, maybe we can have a little bit more chat about that.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great.
Great.
I've come to Stillorgan in South County Dublin to visit this semi-detached house where a surprise awaits.
This is it here, Angie. This is the new extension that we put onto the house.
This is wonderful, actually. It's so large and airy.
I think it's kind of like an extension of the sort of traditional Irish kitchen idea, except that we've gone for having a small kitchen and a seating area which is outside of the kitchen area per se, but it's that idea that people can come in and out and be together.
And how about the lighting here? It's very, very bright. You've got a full wall of glass.
Yeah, that was something that the architect came up with. The main thing we said was we really want lots of light, you know, and lots of sense of space.
Yes.
So he came up with the idea that if you have the full wall of glass, you get a lot of light.
The sink is in a very unusual position within the kitchen. It certainly brings you out. It doesn't hide you away, which is normally the case. You're kind of stuck at the sink, washing away while everything else is carrying on without you.
Yeah, that's true. And again, I suppose it's more the way we live now as well, you know, that you're all involved together and you're
Yes.
not sort of hiding away in the scullery doing the potatoes or something.
So the architect was very important in the overall design of the kitchen as it fits in with the general design of the extension.
Yes, he was.
So how long have you lived here, Nicola?
We've been here now 3 years, I think.
And why did you choose this house?
We were looking for a house, I suppose, that we could do something with. We had lived in Sligo and Tipperary, and we had built our own homes there.
Yes.
And then we were abroad for a while, and then we moved back to Dublin. And it's really not, it's hard to get a site in Dublin, obviously, and build your own house.
Very hard, yes.
Realistically, so we thought, okay, if we get an older house and do a bit of reconstruction work, we can still put our own stamp on it and have something we like that suits us.
So when you chose to have an architect to design the extension, what were you thinking?
Having actually lived in a house which was designed by an architect specifically, where a lot of thought was put into the shape of the rooms and the way the house looked when you lived in it. I don't know how to describe it, but it worked very well. It was a very nice house to live in. And I was very impressed by that. I sort of sat down one day and thought, well, I actually could never put this house together in myself. I couldn't have come up with this concept. So, it wasn't particularly awesomely unusual, but there were just nice little things in it that I wouldn't have thought of. And I felt that was the benefit. I'd like to get that benefit if I was doing a reconstruction or building again myself.
Nicola, is the bathroom part of the extension as well?
It is, yes. The original house had a bathroom there and a little toilet off there. So this hallway went straight up to the window, and that was how the hall was lighted. The landing was lighted by the window.
And this is a new window that you've put in?
Yeah, when we made it all into one, we had to have, obviously, the window had to be very opaque.
Yes.
And we just wanted to change the shape of the window that was there.
And it's a lovely light as well, which seems to connect up with this roof light up here.
Yeah.
It seems to filter the light all the way down to the bottom hall.
I think it does, yeah. And you get that feeling as you come up the stairs of more light, Right? So
yes.
That's very nice.
Heading up towards the sun, the source. So how did yourself and Phil feel about the finished product?
I think it's fair to say we're absolutely delighted. I think we got more than we expected, really, in a way. We had a clear idea of what we needed, but it works very, very well. It's for me anyway, and for us, for the way we live, it's a very nice space to be in.
So from your experience with the extension, what's your advice to anybody else who wishes to take the same route?
I'd say be very clear about what you want. You do need to sit down and spend some time yourself, because somebody else will try to interpret what you mean. I think it's important that you click, if you like, with the architect, and if you're doing it with someone else, whoever's involved in doing the extension, that you both feel comfortable that the architect you choose is on your wavelength, that they're not imposing something on you. I thought perhaps a house extension would be a very small job and that it'd be hard to get anyone to be interested in it, but it didn't turn out like that. So I would say that as well. There are people out there who are interested in doing designs for you and working with you on what you want to do.
Energy Awareness Week begins next Sunday, and as well as a special feature in our next show, there'll be a range of events around the country. Well, we'll be back here in Avoca in 2 weeks' time to find out how Sheila and Leo get on. Next week, we'll be in Wexford for a second visit with Peter Cassidy and his remarkable Ringfort house. We'll find out whether the Harveys and Bray decide to go ahead with their extension. And we'll be looking at ways to save energy in a typical house in Galway and a mastered work in Foley's Forge in Meath. All that next week. See you then.